Breaking now on Denver 7 News at 6. 3 children rescued after a double murder in Loveland.
A SWAT team was here and just kids screaming in the streets.
What neighbors tell us about a chaotic scene as police piece together a tragedy striking this small town.
Also breaking, catastrophic flooding in Kentucky.
Everything is going.
A state of emergency this morning as rescue teams search for survivors.
A new COVID booster shot coming this fall, specifically targeting the BA.5 variant. We're talking to a local doctor about how often we'll need to get boosted.
Coloradans are feeling lucky. How much money we've spent on Mega Millions tickets with tonight's jackpot crossing the $1 billion mark.
And good morning to you. Hope you're feeling lucky. You know, we've been talking about this. I know Jason will disagree with me, but I think now you could buy all the possible Mega Millions tickets and cover your losses enough, but with the cash out amount to still win money.
Wow.
So if we could all just pool our resources together and do that, yeah. Maybe
Find some way to buy all the tickets.
Every single 302 million combinations there. Well, thanks for staying with us on your Friday. I'm Nicole Brady.
And I'm Jessica Crawford.
Lisa Hidalgo is taking a look at the forecast. Yeah, hopefully we're getting lucky there too, Lisa.
Are looking at temperatures that are going to be here mostly sunny this morning. We've got in the mountains a little mix of sun and clouds. In the high country, you're going to find a chance for more scattered storms and showers today. That's the view from Westminster right now, where you can see we do have a little bit more cloud cover again this morning. As far as training camp goes, this afternoon we're going to see here early on near 70 by 10 o'clock, a little more sunshine for those players there on the field, and then by noon we'll be at near 80. So a few building clouds. We are expecting again a few areas where we could get some flooding rain down across parts of southern Colorado, but the good news is our risk of severe weather today is going to be lower. Here in town, we should see, it looks like after about 2 o'clock, a little rain, lightning, and thunder, but the threat of any large hail or damaging wind today, Jason, is going to be pretty low. You can see there is a chance for a few general thunderstorms, though, across the entire state.
It all comes down to the taxes for that lottery win. I mean, that's what it comes down to. If you can deduct the taxes, the gambling losses for the non-winning tickets from your income. Anyway, we do have a crash down here on the south side of town. It's at Quincy and Chambers right here, just off of Parker Road. So Parker Road's not going to be affected, but a lot of folks come in on Quincy to try to get to Parker Road, so it's going to be slightly delayed for you. Take a look from the camera there at Parker and 225. Moving along just fine. That southbound side, not seeing any problems here, and really drive times around town, as you can see on the map, looks just fine, whether it's through Aurora on I-70, 270, or that drive on I-76. Those will be some of the first routes here to load up. Very typical stuff, but no other big issues anywhere around town.
All right, Jason, thanks. We do have some breaking news in Aurora this morning. Firefighters are still on the scene monitoring an active natural gas leak after a fire at a multifamily complex there. Crews put out the flames quickly on East Radcliffe Place. Sadly, Aurora Fire Rescue tells us one person did have to be taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. And this was not an easy situation. Firefighters say there was floor damage on the second floor. They've had to be very cautious going into the building. Also breaking this morning, a tragedy in Loveland. We are trying to learn more about the 3 kids rescued from the scene of a double murder. The small neighborhood was surrounded in crime scene tape late into the night.
Denver 7's Russell Haythorne is live where the tape is down now, but Russell, big questions remain about who the victims were and how those kids are doing.
Yeah, exactly, Jessica. We know that 3 children were in hiding inside the home when police arrived here, and police say they were, quote, safely removed, but we have no idea what the condition of those kids is this morning. We also know that 2 people inside the home here in Loveland were shot and killed, and police say the suspect later shot and killed himself. We have some video to show you from yesterday afternoon. Police say they arrived on scene at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. They had received a 911 call about a weapon here. It was at that same time neighbors tell Denver 7 they heard 2 loud bangs, which neighbors now know were gunshots. Then there was screaming, apparently from a woman and kids. Neighbors describe a flood of officers pouring into the neighborhood with guns drawn, surrounding the house, and after about 45 minutes, neighbors say they heard a flashbang outside the home's door, and that's when apparently police went inside to get the 3 kids.
We get out here and look, and there's just people, guns drawn. I mean, the SWAT team was here and just kids screaming in the streets, and it was just like, what is happening here? And you could just see something in the yard. There was a white sheet over it. So I just all of a sudden went into a panic, and it just didn't look good.
Police have identified the possible suspect as 49-year-old Javier Acevedo. They say Acevedo fled the scene here in Loveland and was spotted at about 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon down in Erie walking around with a rifle. So police in Erie issued a shelter in place for several neighborhoods there, and then about 30 minutes later police came back and said the suspect had shot and killed himself. We'll have much more on that suspect coming up at 6:30 this morning. For now, we're live in Loveland. I'm Russell Haythorne. Back to you guys.
Russell, thank you. A new lawsuit is challenging Colorado's high-capacity magazine ban. The Rocky Mountain gun owners say the ban enacted after the Aurora theater shooting is unconstitutional. The lawsuit references a recent Supreme Court decision on a New York case, which found a gun-permitting law in New York violated the Second Amendment. The group has also sued the town of Superior, preventing bans on assault weapons, large-capacity magazines, and ghost guns from going into effect.
Well, this fall, an updated COVID booster is coming out. Right now, data is limited, but the shot is expected to be stronger, specifically against the Omicron subvariant BA.5, which is the most contagious form yet. President Biden is recovering from an infection of BA.5. A local doctor told me this probably won't be the last booster we get.
Where we sit at the moment is the variants are coming out at a 5 to 7 month rate. And they're divergent enough such that getting boosters every 6 months or so is going to be a really good idea. I would say probably for the next year. After that, we're not really clear on how the variants will spin out. Whether that variant development will be on a 6-month time scale, will it be on a 2-year time scale? And so our boosting regimen, recommended boosting regimen, is really going to be centered on that rate of variant generation.
So right now, only Americans over the age of 50 and the immunocompromised are eligible for a second booster shot, but that will likely change when this new booster comes out in September. Some people we know have COVID symptoms for just weeks. Others, it goes on for months. The National Institutes of Health is studying this at more than 80 sites across the country, including Aurora and Denver. If you have experienced long COVID and you're interested in participating, you can learn more on the website recovercovid.org. And parents, you may have heard about this new virus going around recently. The CDC is issuing a health advisory for something called Parechavirus. It's not new, it's actually pretty common, but right now it's spreading across multiple states, and Children's Hospital Colorado is seeing cases. Parechavirus impacts children under the age of 5 and especially young infants. The symptoms to watch for are fever, a rash, or poor eating. At Children's Hospital Colorado, they have a special test to diagnose it.
How long have you had this test? Just so I know that, this spinal fluid test.
Yeah, so we've been running this test since about 2017 at Children's Hospital Colorado. It's a really rapid test that we can take a very small amount of spinal fluid and within 2 hours get an answer for many common viruses and bacteria that can cause meningitis or central nervous system infections. And it's really improved our ability to care for these young infants because we can get a name for what's actually going on and know the expected course of disease and be able to inform the parents and really manage them best knowing what's causing their illness.
Dr. Messicart stressed there's no reason to panic. Most kids get this and don't really have any symptoms, but if they do have a fever, get them to the hospital right away. He says the virus disappeared during the height of COVID, but now it's starting to appear again. Today's day 3 of training camp for the Broncos. They'll be back out at the UC Health Training Center at 10 this morning.
And once again, Russell Wilson started day 2 by running the field, high-fiving the front row of fans, and his wife Sierra and their kids also came to cheer him on. You might notice some of the players are wearing these on their heads. So these are called guardian caps, and the NFL made them mandatory for all linemen, linebackers, and tight ends. Our sports team asked the players how they like their new headgear.
They're kind of ugly, but
they're not necessarily the best fashion statement. I was thinking about wearing one, but I
I decided not to.
Kind of just makes my head feel heavy. Kind of feel like a bobblehead, man. I feel like it adds it gives me -5 speed on Madden.
We have a joke in the O-line room. We won't be getting any good pictures in training camp with these on.
The NFL found the caps reduce impact severity by at least 10%. So I think the guys are actually pretty happy to be wearing them. Denver 7 is your home for Broncos training camp. We have special coverage of tomorrow's session starting at 7 a.m. Well, someone's life could forever change tonight. Imagine the Mega Millions jackpot has grown to $1.1 billion. The cash option is a pretty nice one here, nearly $650 million. You could buy the Broncos with that, right? Your odds of winning 1 in 302 million. And we checked, the Colorado Lottery says Coloradans have spent more than $1 million on tickets out of 4 of the last 6 days, not including yesterday. They spent more than $3 million on Tuesday, which was the last drawing. That's a big jump from June when the jackpot was much lower and people were only buying $120,000 worth of tickets per day. Lisa, did you get yours?
Not yet. I'm gonna though. You can't win if you don't play, right? If you don't get at least one. Right now we're looking at here at 611, 60s, a few neighborhoods in the 50s. We'll get into the upper 70s here by lunch, by noon. Little mix of sun and clouds. It's gonna be dry through the morning and then low 80s for highs today. Things are gradually getting a little warmer as we get into the weekend. Come Sunday, we're back in the 90s. Now coming up, we're gonna take a look at our chance for any storms here over the next couple of days coming up.
Up in northern Colorado on just north of Fort Collins on the southbound side of I-25. So coming out of Wyoming, coming out of Cheyenne, we do have a closure of southbound I-25 from this is just after the Carr exit. That's a connection that gets you over to Highway 85 and the Buckeye exit. So the southbound side, you see all the truckers in here. They're all stopped for the closure of southbound I-25 right now for this wreck. No information from CDOT or the State Patrol yet of when they might be able to get that reopened.
Well, if you've been trying to stay hydrated on the hot days this summer, you may have turned to electrolytes for a boost, but experts are warning to do something before you drink up. And some good news, if you are a frequent Southwest Airlines flyer, the company is shaking up the industry with its new change to flight credits.
And chores may be annoying, but researchers say working with your hands is helping protect your brain.